Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take complex research and, well, we pull out the key insights for you.
That's the goal.
And today, we're diving into something huge. Large language models, LLMs, and how they're impacting, how we think, learn, even remember.
It's everywhere, isn't it?
Totally. And for a while, the story's been, these tools are amazing, they'll make us smarter, faster, super convenient, right?
Yeah.
Getting tailored answers, not just links like Google.
Right. Personalized info, even helping with learning techniques like repetition. Sounds like the perfect brain boost.
Exactly. Like the ultimate upgrade.
But what if? What if that convenience has a hidden cost? A cognitive one.
Okay.
Well, while LLMs definitely make us more productive, studies show users are like 60% more productive with a 32% lower cognitive load compared to just using software.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. But some newer research is suggesting they might also maybe inadvertently dial down our critical thinking, our deep analysis skills.
Uh-huh. How so?
Researchers are calling it cognitive offloading. Basically, outsourcing the mental work. It could lead to what some are calling metacognitive laziness.
Cognitive offloading. Metacognitive laziness. Okay, that's quite a shift from the usual hype. And this isn't just theory, right? You mentioned research.
Exactly. We're basing this on a really solid 4-month study. Very thorough.
Tell me about it.
Sure. It involved 54 people aged 18 to 39 from top Boston universities, think MIT, Harvard, places like that.
Okay, so a good sample.
Definitely. And they split them into 3 groups. One used an LLM, GPT-4o specifically. Another used Google, traditional search. And the third, just their brains. No digital tools.
Brain power only. Interesting comparison.
And they gathered data in multiple ways. EE scans to see brain activity.
Literally looking inside their heads.
Yep. Plus NLP analysis of the essays they wrote and interviews afterwards. And crucially, the essays were graded by both human teachers and a special AI judge.
AI judging AI-assisted work. That's fascinating in itself.
It really is. So our mission today is to unpack all that. How these tools affect our brains, how we learn, even how much we feel we own our work.
All right, let's start with the brain scans, the EEG. What do they actually reveal about cognitive load and engagement across these groups?
Okay, so the big finding, the really core thing, was that brain connectivity, how different parts of the brain were talking to each other, it systematically scaled down the more external help people got.
So less help meant more brain connections firing.
Precisely. The brain-only group. They showed the strongest, most widespread neural networks. We saw this across different brain frequencies, alpha, theta, delta. Think of them as different levels of mental effort.
Like different gears.
Kind of, yeah. It showed high working memory use, executive control, deep semantic processing, really understanding meaning and creative thinking. For instance, high theta meant lots of mental effort, concentration. High alpha in certain areas, that signals internal brainstorming, pulling up knowledge.
So their brains were really like firing on all cylinders, doing the heavy lifting themselves.
Exactly. Now, compare that to the search engine group.
Okay, the Google users.
Their engagement was sort of intermediate. They did offload some memory tasks, right? Looking up facts instead of recalling them.
Sure, makes sense.
So their brains didn't need to link up distant regions quite as much as the brain-only folks. Their activity was more geared towards handling the external info, stronger links in brain areas tied to vision, processing what's on the screen.
Right, dealing with search results. And the LLM group.
The LLM group. They had the weakest overall brain connectivity, lowest theta activity, too. Meaning a much lower working memory burden. The LLM was giving suggestions, structuring ideas.
So they didn't have to juggle as much information internally.
Correct. It suggests a good chunk of the, human thinking, the planning, the generating, was offloaded to the AI. Less deep engagement, particularly in that creative process, reflected in lower alpha connectivity.
Wow. So the convenience factor seems to directly map to reduced neural activity associated with deep learning and creativity.
Yeah.
That really makes you think, doesn't it? What are the long-term implications for our brains?
That is the question. And the study didn't just look at brainwaves. The interviews and essay analysis were just as revealing. Take essay ownership.
How much they felt the work was theirs.
Exactly. The LLM group reported really low ownership. In the first session, only 9 out of 18 felt they fully owned their essay. 3 said they had no ownership at all.
No ownership? Wow.
Compare that to the brain-only group. 16 out of 18 claimed full ownership. Search engine users were in the middle, about 6 of 18, and this pattern pretty much held across the sessions.
It's a stark difference. If you don't feel it's yours, Does it even stick? What about remembering what they wrote?
Great point. And yeah, the LLM group did significantly worse when asked to quote from the essays they'd just written, minutes before.
So a clear hit on memory recall.
A measurable impact, yes. It suggests maybe we're not internalizing information the same way when an AI co-authors it. Are we really learning it?
And the essays themselves, what did the NLP analysis show?
Consistency. The LLM essays showed high homogeneity, less unique language, less variation compared to the other groups.
They sounded similar.
Very much so. Interestingly, they used the most specific named entities like people, places, years. The search group used way less, and the brain-only group even less than that. Suggests the LLM provides very specific but maybe less varied output.
Hmm. And you mentioned something about bias.
Right, that's another angle. LLMs predict the next word, basically. So they tend to give you information that aligns with common patterns in their training data consonant information.
Reinforcing existing ideas.
Potentially, yeah. Which could maybe worsen echo chambers compared to search engines, which might show more diverse results, even if those results are influenced by things like SEO or ads.
Like the philanthropy example.
Exactly. Search group focused on homeless engrams, likely high search demand. LLM group focused on giving. Different outputs, different potential biases.
Okay, this is complex. Now, you mentioned AI judges versus human teachers grading these essays. That sounds like a recipe for surprises.
Oh, definitely. Huge discrepancies. The AI judge often gave high scores for content quality, like 4 or more. Human teachers, they frequently scored the same essays much lower, sometimes a 1 or 2.
Seriously, why the difference?
It's hard to say for sure, but maybe the AI valued the detailed, specific named entities the LLMs provided. Humans might look for deeper coherence, originality, things harder to quantify.
And what about structure?
Interestingly, humans were pretty consistent there, scoring around 3.5. The AI judges' scores were all over the place, and humans strongly disagreed with the AI on uniqueness, often giving lower originality scores.
So humans felt they were less original. Could the AI tell they were AI written?
Get this. The AI judge flagged almost half the essays as AI written. Human teachers, they couldn't always tell.
Wow. That really makes you question what quality even means, especially if we start optimizing for AI judges instead of human readers.
It's a massive question. Are we training ourselves to write for machines?
Okay, so the study didn't stop there. There was this unplugged test in session 4, right? Where they switched tools.
Yes. Session 4, crucial for understanding neural adaptation. What happens when you take the tool away or introduce it later?
So what happened when the LLM users had to rely just on their brains again? The LLM to brain group.
It wasn't great, honestly. They showed weaker brain connectivity compared to the people who'd been brain-only all along, under engagement of certain networks.
Like their brains had gotten lazy.
You could maybe frame it as cognitive atrophy, yeah. They even reuse specific phrases, engrams like before speaking or perfect society that the LLM group had used earlier, suggest a lingering reliance.
So they struggled to ramp back up cognitively.
They did perform better than their own baseline in session 1, but yeah, they consistently underperformed compared to where the dedicated brain-only group was later in the study.
Okay, that paints a concerning picture about dependency. What about the flip side? The brain-only people who then got the LLM.
Ah, the brain to LLM group. Totally different story. When they started using the LLM, their brain connectivity significantly increased across the board.
Increased. Why?
It seems their initial period of self-driven effort kind of primed their brains. They showed higher memory recall, too, and re-engagement of key brain areas, similar actually to the search engine group. They were better prepared to integrate the tool effectively without sacrificing their own cognitive engagement.
That's fascinating. So starting without the AI, building those mental muscles first, might actually help you use the AI better later on.
It strongly suggests that, yes, an optimal sequence might involve initial self-driven effort before bringing in AI. It could promote both immediate tool effectiveness and protect long-term cognitive independence.
That is a huge takeaway. So bringing it all together, it's a really nuanced picture.
Absolutely. LLMs give us undeniable convenience, huge productivity boosts, less cognitive friction right now. We see that clearly. But that ease comes with this measurable cognitive cost. It seems to potentially chip away at deep thinking, critical analysis, engagement, even that feeling of ownership over your own ideas.
A definite trade-off to consider.
And there's one more cost, often overlooked: energy.
Energy?
Yeah, environmental cost. An LLM query uses about 10 times more energy than a standard Google search. Think zero point 0.3 watt-hours versus zero point zero 0.03.
Wow, 10 times more. That adds up quickly across millions of users.
It's a significant material cost society is absorbing as we adopt these tools more widely.
So it really leaves us and you listening with a big question as we move forward in this AI era. How do we find the right balance?
Hmm.
How do we use these incredibly powerful, efficient tools without losing the deep, independent thinking that builds real knowledge, sharpens critical skills, and fosters, genuine intellectual autonomy?
It's the challenge ahead.
What kind of learner, what kind of thinker do you ultimately want to be? Something to definitely ponder.